Okay, so first of all, let me just say I didn't let the monkey out. That needs to be clear up front. Everyone at the zoo keeps giving me side eyes like I'm the guy who unchained King Kong and said, "Hey, big guy, why don't you go stomp on Manhattan like it's bubble wrap? I'm not that guy. I'm just the janitor. I clean up monkey poop for $14.75 an hour. No benefits. By the way, and I've never even talked to Kong, except once. But we'll get there. Let's rewind a bit. My name's Marty. Marty Plimpton. I work the early shift at the Central City Zoological Containment Facility, or, as my cousin Gary calls it, that zoo with the murder lizard and the drama gorilla. I clock in at 5:30 a.m. every day. Mop in one hand, iced coffee in the other, and the distinct smell of flamingo pee already clinging to my soul. Most days are normal. Flamingos squawk, kids cry, someone tries to feed a corn dog to the Komodo dragon standard stuff. But that morning was weird. It started with my radio playing Don't Stop Believin' at full volume in the maintenance closet while I was trying to unclog the elephant exhibit drain. You ever smell 800 gallons of wet hay and dung water while Journey is screaming at you to hold on to that feeling? Not ideal, but that's zoo life. Glamorous as heck. Then I got the call. "Now, when your walkie-talkie buzzes with, 'Marty, we need you in Primate Sector 7. Bring the industrial mop.' It's never good news. That's the sector where Kong lives. Or lived. Spoiler alert. See, King Kong wasn't technically part of the zoo. He was a special exhibit under federal supervision, which is fancy government speak for we don't know what to do with a skyscraper-sized gorilla. So let's dump him here behind 8 walls of reinforced titanium and pray he doesn't figure out doorknobs. But guess who still had to clean up his poop? This guy. Anyway, I roll my mop cart down to Sector 7. I'm thinking maybe Kong flung a tree or something. Sometimes he gets moody and redecorates. One time he stacked 3 cars like pancakes. They called it abstract enrichment. I called it Tuesday. When I got there, the door was open. Like, wide open. You know, in cartoons, when a character sees something so shocking, their eyes do the whole Boeing thing. That was me. Just standing there with my mop and a glazed donut in my mouth, staring at an empty enclosure the size of a football field. No Kong. Just a single, steaming, suspiciously fresh pile of gorilla business right in the middle of the habitat floor. Now I know what you're thinking, Marty. Why didn't you sound the alarm? Why didn't you stop him? First of all, what part of I'm the janitor did you miss? You think I carried tranquilizer darts in my sock? Second of all, I did try to alert someone. I shouted, guys into my walkie. Very heroically, if I may say so. No response. So I did what any reasonable adult would do. I poked the poop to confirm it was still warm. Yep, said nope out loud, and turned to go find someone whose job did include gorilla containment. That's when I heard the helicopters. Not 1, 5, all black, all loud, circling above the zoo like angry bees with rotor blades. And wouldn't you know it, here comes the actual army, rolling in with tanks and men in camouflage yelling into earpieces. One guy straight up tackled me while I was holding my mop like a shield. "Where is he?" he shouted. I said, "Who?" He said, "Kong." And I said, "How should I know? I'm just the guy who mops his poop." Apparently, that answer was suspicious, because next thing I know I'm zip-tied to a bench next to the cotton candy stand while soldiers stormed the flamingo pond. The flamingos were not having it. By the way, one of them bit a guy, square on the cheek, after about 40 minutes of confusion. Someone finally realized I wasn't a threat to national security. A lady in a pantsuit and sunglasses came over and untied me. She said, "You're clear to go." I said, "Do I still get paid for today?" She said nothing and just walked off. Typical. So I go back to the janitor closet, thinking maybe I'll just pretend this day didn't happen. I'm halfway through my second donut when I hear it. Like if a freight train had feelings and just stubbed its toe, I peeked out the window and there he was. King freaking Kong! lumbering down Fifth Avenue like it was his morning jog route. Cars honking, people screaming, pigeons flying in every direction. And my first thought, I swear to you, was, well, crap. Now I'm gonna have to clean that up. Then I realized something worse. Kong was still wearing the enrichment vest I gave him. Now, this vest wasn't part of any official zoo plan. It was just something I sewed together using an old couch cover and some Velcro. I thought maybe it'd help him calm down like those thunder shirts for dogs I even drew little bananas on the back with a Sharpie. Real stylish. I'd slipped it into his habitat last week as a kind of enrichment experiment/birthday present. He didn't seem to mind it. Even posed in it once for the security camera. Now, though that vest had my initials on the tag. Marty Plimpton. So there he was. Kong, stomping through Midtown Manhattan, wearing a custom vest with my name in it. And suddenly every news anchor on the planet is saying things like, zoo employee involved in possible gorilla liberation plot and banana-themed insurgent at large. My phone blew up. My cousin Gary sent me a meme. It was a picture of Kong climbing the Empire State Building with the words, "When your janitor is a gorilla marketing genius." I wish I could say that was the worst of it. But oh no, that was just part one. Because the moment Kong got to the top of that building, he pulled out the sandwich I packed for him. And it had my business card in the bag. Because I'm an idiot who puts his contact info on everything in case it gets lost. Spoiler alert, it did not get lost. It got broadcast on national television, and suddenly the whole city thinks I'm the guy who trained King Kong to do parkour. So yeah, there I was sitting in the break room, half a donut in my hand, a crumpled Monster Energy can in the other, and my name flashing across CNN like I'm the villain in a Mission Impossible movie. Marty Plimpton, possible handler behind Kong escape. Handler. I once tried to pet a goat at the petting zoo, and it bit my wristwatch clean off. That's how good with animals I am. And now I'm apparently the mastermind behind the great gorilla getaway. I did what any reasonable janitor falsely accused of aiding and abetting a skyscraper climbing ape would do. I panicked. Not regular panic, like internal organ shutdown panic. I dropped my donut. I never drop donuts. That's how serious it got. So I run outside the break room and immediately bump into Shelley from guest services. Now, I've had a crush on Shelley since the week she tasered a streaker during Free Kids Tuesday. Girls got presents, but on this day, her eyes are wide. Her jaw is slack. "You trained him," she whispers. I blink. "Trained who?" She points to the TV mounted above the churro stand. Kong. In all his hairy, 40-foot glory, holding what is unmistakably a sad peanut butter and banana sandwich in one hand and swinging a taxi in the other like a GameCube controller. Shelley squints. "That's your sandwich, isn't it?" I shrug, trying to look innocent, which is hard when you've got banana-smelling hand sanitizer in your shirt pocket and your initials stitched onto Kong's fashion-forward anxiety vest. Now here's the thing. That sandwich wasn't just food. It was a tradition. See, every Wednesday. Enrichment Wednesday. They called it I'd slide a sandwich into Kong's habitat, just behind the do not approach line. He didn't always eat it. Sometimes he stepped on it. One time he flung it at a camera. But the last few weeks, he seemed into it. Like, gently picked it up, gave me a nod, and ate it like a polite British noble gorilla. So, naturally, I got cocky. I added a note last week. Just a dumb one. "Hang in there, big guy! MP!" Real heartwarming. Real dumb. Because now the FBI thinks it was a coded message. I get yanked into an interview room behind the otter tank by two guys in suits. They don't give me names. Just business cards with bald eagles on them. One of them talks like a villain in a toothpaste commercial. "Tell us exactly what your relationship with the subject is." I say, "Subject, you mean Kong?" He slams a photo down. "It's Kong, on top of the Chrysler Building now. And guess what? Still wearing the vest. The bananas I drew have faded a little. but you can still see them, and he's holding a second sandwich. Did you give him more than one? The agent growls. I panic. Is that illegal? They stare at me like I just confessed to international banana smuggling. I try to explain, it's just peanut butter and banana, the gorilla version of comfort food. My uncle used to make it during thunderstorms. Maybe Kong's going through something. He's been stuck in that habitat for years. You ever try to take a poop in the same corner every day with tourists watching? It changes you. They did not laugh. They let me go, but not before slapping a tracking bracelet on my ankle. Bright green. It clashes with my cargo shorts. I asked if it came in other colors. The agent said, "You're lucky it doesn't come with jail time." So now I'm a watched janitor, accused of guerrilla treason. And things just kept spiraling. People started following me around the zoo. Tourists, reporters, some guy live streaming on TikTok who kept asking if Kong was my emotional support apex predator. The memes were getting out of hand. One had a picture of me mopping next to Kong's enclosure with the caption, "Just two dudes vibing. Kong Squad." Another had my employee badge photoshopped onto a banana. That one got a t-shirt deal. I didn't see a dime. Even Shelley wouldn't look me in the eye. "Did you tell him to climb the Empire State Building?" she whispered one afternoon while refilling the vending machine. "Why would I tell him that I said—" She shrugged. "Maybe you're both into height-related drama. Now listen, I've never even been to the top of the Empire State Building. Closest I got was a failed Tinder date on the 7th floor of the Macy's parking structure. So no, I didn't suggest it. But maybe Kong just wanted a view. And hear me out, and this is where I think I finally snapped, maybe he just wanted to feel tall for once, instead of being looked down on by people with selfie sticks and fanny packs. So I made a decision, a bad one. I was going to go talk to him. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to call in a favor with a 40-foot gorilla you technically never had a real conversation with. But it's awkward. I figured if I could just get close enough, I could slip him another sandwich, maybe a nice one, with double banana, maybe talk him down. Like, "Hey buddy, this city isn't worth it. They overcharge for pizza and everyone's mad all the time." Real motivational stuff. So I stole a zoo van. It was labeled Penguin Delivery. Caution sassy birds on board. Close enough. I drove straight toward Manhattan with two things in the back. A peanut butter and banana sandwich the size of a couch cushion. A boombox blasting Don't Stop Believin' on repeat. Because if I was gonna die, I wanted it to have a soundtrack. Let me just say this right now, the New York Police Department does not care if your van says Penguin Delivery when there's a 40-foot gorilla doing backflips off real estate landmarks. I got waved through. Twice. One guy even gave me a thumbs up like I was part of the plan. Spoiler, I was not part of the plan, but I had a plan. Or at least, I thought I did. You know how sometimes you're running on adrenaline and peanut butter fumes and you feel like a genius? Yeah, that was me. I was cruising through Manhattan with a giant sandwich, a boombox blasting Journey, and a dream. Did I know where Kong was? No. Did I know what I'd say when I found him? Also, no. Was I hoping he'd just magically see the sandwich, calm down, and come home like a very large, angry dog? Absolutely. So I'm driving through the city, dodging abandoned hot dog carts and the occasional flaming taxi, when I finally spot him. Kong, towering over the skyline, perched halfway up the Empire State Building like he just paid rent. He looked majestic, like a giant, hairy Greek god having an anxiety attack. Helicopters swarmed around him like mosquitoes, and down on the ground. People were losing their collective minds, and there I was. Marty Plimpton, in a zoo van with sassy birds on board spray-painted on the back, trying to find a parking spot. Good luck parallel parking a van during a gorilla crisis. I end up just hopping the curb and skidding to a stop next to a pretzel stand. The pretzel guy saluted me. I saluted back. Mutual respect among snack professionals. I climb out and open the back. There it was, the sandwich. A glorious, slightly squished, peanut butter and banana behemoth wrapped in enough foil to deflect a missile. I grabbed it, hoisted it onto my shoulder like a mailman delivering edible peace, and started walking toward the building. And that's when someone tried to tackle me. "Freeze!" I froze. A guy in a suit, sunglasses, headset, generic secret agent vibes barreled toward me like he thought I was carrying dynamite. Not breakfast. "Put the object down," he yelled. "It's a sandwich," I yelled back. He blinked. "A what?" I unwrapped the corner to show him. "Peanut butter. Banana. Extra banana. Emotional gorilla support." He stared. Then he pulled his headset aside and said, We've got a civilian with a tactical lunch." Now, I'm not gonna lie, that got me into the building. Somehow, through a mix of confusion, apathy, and sheer New York chaos, I ended up on the freight elevator to the roof with a sandwich the size of a memory foam pillow and 2 agents assigned to monitor me. One of them just played Candy Crush the whole time. The other kept asking if Kong liked crunchy or creamy. Let me tell you something about standing on the roof of the Empire State Building while a skyscraper-sized gorilla makes direct eye contact with you. It's bowel loosening. There he was, up close, breathing heavy, eyes wild, swatting at helicopters like they were gnats at a barbecue. I cleared my throat. "Kong?" He looked down. I held up the sandwich. He stared. His nostrils flared. A breeze hit. The smell of banana carried upward. For a second, just a second, he stopped moving. And I thought, this is it. This is the moment where the sandwich saves New York. He reached down, slow, careful, like a giant trying to boop a hamster. And that's when someone shot a missile. I don't know who. Some military guy? Some itchy trigger finger? Whatever. All I know is boom. The rooftop shook. Debris flew. I hit the ground and hugged the sandwich like it was my emotional support pillow. Kong went berserk. He roared, like the sound of an angry thundercloud discovering it pays taxes, and he leapt from the building. Yup, leapt, like King Kong just rage-quit Manhattan. Landed somewhere in Central Park. Probably crushed 3 hot dog vendors and a mime. I sat up, covered in dust, shame, and a thin layer of peanut butter. One of the agents helped me up. He said, "Well, that didn't work." I nodded. "He doesn't like missiles with his sandwich." They confiscated the remains of the sandwich, tagged it as Exhibit D, and put me back in the Penguin van. I wasn't arrested. I wasn't thanked either. I was just released, back into the streets of a city still echoing with gorilla trauma. By the time I got back to the zoo, someone had already changed my name tag to read Marty Banana Guy. Plimpton, assistant to the primate enrichment program. Assistant, I didn't even get a raise. Oh, and I had 47 voicemails from my cousin Gary. The last one just said, "Bro, you're a Funko Pop now." I woke up the next morning with peanut butter in my hair, a crick in my neck from sleeping in the back of the Penguin van, and an email from Good Morning America titled, "Urgent booking request for Marty Banana Guy Plimpton." No, hello. No, dear Mr. Plimpton. Just a banana emoji and my name in quotes like I'm some kind of failed magician. Also, sidebar, I didn't even sign up for the nickname Banana Guy. That just happened. One second, I'm the janitor who once got stuck inside the tapir enclosure for 3 hours, don't ask. And the next, I'm the face of the Kong incident to TM. I didn't even get to shower yet. I checked the news. Every channel, every headline. Hero janitor tried to feed Kong a sandwich. Banana Guy savior or enabler. Exclusive the vest that rocked America. Custom banana design. And worst of all, BuzzFeed quiz. Which part of Marty's sandwich are you? The top result was soggy corner. So obviously I did what any rational person would do in a sudden fame spiral. I tried to go buy toothpaste and pretend nothing was happening. I threw on a hoodie, sunglasses, and what I thought was a normal face. Didn't matter. The second I stepped into the Rite Aid, the cashier yelled, "Yo!" It's the Kong dude, and some guy near the energy drinks actually clapped. A child, a small, feral child, pointed at me and screamed, Do the gorilla dance. I don't know what the gorilla dance is. I still don't know. But apparently, someone edited footage of me running with the sandwich to make it look like I was doing a TikTok trend. And now kids expect me to flail around like a caffeinated baboon anytime I buy dental hygiene products. I left with a toothbrush and a bag of beef jerky I didn't ask for. It was thrown at me by a grandma. Then came the interviews. Oh, sweet flamingo farts. The interviews. Everyone wanted a piece of me. Reporters, bloggers, influencers with names like gorilla glizzy, people with phones strapped to their heads like GoPros were a fashion statement. One lady asked if I was dating Kong. Like romantically, I asked. She shrugged. The internet ships you two? Ships? Me? And a 40-foot ape with commitment issues and a punching problem. I tried to return to work. Thought maybe the zoo would feel like home again. But guess what? They turned Kong's enclosure into a temporary Marty experience. There was a cardboard cutout of me next to a fake sandwich and a plaque that said, "The janitor who tried. That's it, just tried. Not saved, not hero, just tried." Also, the plaque spelled my name wrong. Plimpton. With a K? They even started selling banana-shaped plush toys with my face printed on them. Not my likeness. My face. I didn't even know that was legal. I cornered my boss, Cheryl, outside the penguin feeding hut. "Hey," I said, "what's with the Marty merch? I didn't agree to this." She sipped her latte and said, "You're trending. Marty, ride the wave. Ride the I mop poop. Cheryl, I'm not a wave guy." She patted me on the shoulder. Not anymore. Banana guy. The next day, a group of middle schoolers came in for a field trip and started asking if I was going to do the Kong call. I said, "What's the Kong call?" One of them screamed and pounded their chest like Tarzan on Red Bull. Another one threw a Lunchable. I barely escaped with my dignity, and a Capri Sun I found in the recycling bin. Then came the weird letters. People were mailing me stuff. Banana bread, fan art, a handwritten note from someone named Congo Bongo 44 that said, "When society collapses, I want you to lead the guerrilla rebellion." I started sleeping with one eye open. But the weirdest moment, that came on a Thursday morning when I opened my locker to find a manila envelope inside. No name, no stamp, just a sticky note that said, "He's looking for you." Inside the envelope, a single banana peel, still slightly warm. I don't know how to explain the feeling of being menaced by produce. It's unsettling. Your body knows it's just fruit, but your soul knows fear. I checked the zoo security footage. Kong wasn't back, at least not officially. But someone, or something, had broken into Sector 7. The enrichment vest gone. The backup sandwich I hid behind the maintenance shelf. Also gone? I told Cheryl. She said, "Maybe it's a raccoon," I said. "Cheryl, what raccoon wears a vest and writes creepy notes?" She shrugged. "It's New York." Fair point. But deep down, I knew. He was back, and he wasn't just hungry. He wanted me. So after the banana envelope incident, the one with the suspiciously warm peel and the threatening post-it, I decided I needed to lay low. Not like move to the woods and live in a shack with a flip phone low, but more like change your walk route, wear a baseball cap, and pretend your name is Kevin when people recognize you at the gas station low. Because listen, when a 40-foot gorilla goes missing and someone starts leaving fruit-based calling cards in your locker, you don't keep going to work like nothing happened. That's how people in documentaries die. But Cheryl didn't see it that way. Cheryl, who now had a corner office with a framed photo of me handing Kong the sandwich, said things like, "You're part of the zoo's brand now. And maybe this is what you were born to do." Born to do what? Exactly. Mop up feces and narrowly avoid being stepped on by New York's angriest skyscraper monkey. Regardless, I agreed to stay. But only after she offered me hazard pay and a banana Guytement's parking spot. It's literally just a regular spot with a banana painted on the curb. But still, anyway, that's when the cult showed up. Okay, maybe cult is strong. But they had pamphlets, robes, and an Instagram page called Ape-fueled of Kong. So, like, if the robe fits, They started standing outside the zoo with signs that said things like, "Kong is king. Let the primate ascend. The janitor is the prophet," that one had my face photoshopped onto Mount Rushmore. I tried to ignore them. You know, focus on the job. Clean the capybara exhibit. Refill the emu's emotional support pool. Real normal stuff. But they followed me. To the sandwich shop. To the laundromat. To my dentist appointment, where one of them waited outside with a banana-scented candle and whispered, "The beast seeks communion." It was starting to feel like maybe I needed a vacation. Then came the drone. I noticed it while I was cleaning out Kong's old enclosure. They hadn't reopened it yet, too many bad memories. Too much damage, too many tourists taking selfies with the caution tape, but someone had to clean up the enrichment corner, which had turned into a moldy jungle gym of sadness. So there I was, elbow deep in banana peels and disappointment, when I heard a soft buzzing overhead. I look up, tiny black drone, just hovering, watching me. At first I thought maybe it was zoo security. Then I realized our budget didn't include surveillance tech. We barely had enough to buy fresh mop heads. So whose drone was it? I waved at it. It dipped slightly. I flipped it off. It blinked. I threw a banana at it. Missed. The banana landed in the orangutan exhibit. They cheered. I backed away slowly. Later that night, I get a DM on Instagram from an account called Oh, Eye of the Kong. No posts, no followers, just one message. "We're watching. Marty. The sandwich was only the beginning." I blocked them, then unblocked them, then messaged, "Is this Gary?" No response. That night, I dreamt Kong was standing outside my apartment window, gently tapping the glass with one finger and mouthing, "Where's my lunch?" I woke up in a cold sweat. My cat was sitting on my chest holding a banana peel. Probably unrelated. Probably. I tried telling all this to Shelley. You know, for moral support. She was the only person at the zoo who didn't immediately try to monetize my crisis. We met for coffee near the sloth exhibit. "I think he's back." I said. She sipped her chai. "Kong." "No. Gary." I said, "Of course Kong." She leaned in. "Marty, if Kong was really back, don't you think we'd hear something by now? A rumble, a tremor, some kind of footprint-shaped sinkhole in Brooklyn." I paused. "Well, and that's when the zoo lights flickered. Just a tiny buzz, but enough to make every animal go dead silent. The penguins stopped waddling. The lions stopped pacing. Even the meerkats did that creepy, synchronized head-turn thing like they sensed a disturbance in the force. Then the power cut out completely. Darkness. Silence. And then a roar. Not loud, not close, but real. Low. Distant. Like someone dragging a mountain across concrete. And I swear on my mop, the bananas in the gift shop fell off the shelf. All at once. Have you ever heard a roar so deep it makes your ribs itch? Because that's what happened. One moment I was trying to explain to Shelley that I was maybe being stalked by a mega primate. And the next, the entire zoo plunged into blackout mode, and a sound like the earth burping after eating too many tectonic plates came crawling through the air. I swear, even the hot dog cart stopped steaming. Everyone froze. Tourists clutched their children. A bald guy dropped his churro. The gift shop parrots, who usually just scream "Buy me" on loop, stopped mid-squawk and said nothing. Nothing. That's how you know things are bad. And me, I stood there like a human panic emoji, holding a half-finished iced coffee and trying to remember if I had updated my will. Spoiler, I had not. I'd written it on a napkin once after eating 5 mozzarella sticks, and all it said was, "Give everything to the capybaras." Then the backup generators kicked in. Everything turned red, like emergency mood lighting. Spotlights flickered to life, pointing in every direction except where they were actually needed. And a klaxon started blaring over the intercom in a soothing, robotic voice. "Please remain calm. This is only a partial infrastructure failure." Probably. You can't probably your way through a zoo-wide blackout while a prehistoric ape is maybe back from the dead and roaring like he's ordering takeout with rage. Shelley looked at me. Okay, maybe Kong is back. I nodded. You think? And then came the monkey stampede. Technically, it was just 5 capuchins and a lemur named Bartholomew, but they were very fast and very angry, and they came sprinting out of Sector 7 like someone lit their enclosure on fire and told them they owed taxes. Bartholomew, the lemur, slapped a security guard in the kneecap on the way out. That's not a metaphor. He actually did that. The guard cried a little. I don't blame him. Bartholomew slaps with intent. Zoo personnel were scrambling. Cheryl was shouting into a walkie-talkie that wasn't even turned on. One of the new interns threw himself into the flamingo pond for cover and immediately regretted it. And me, I was running. Not away, mind you. I was running toward Sector 7 because somewhere in my frazzled, sleep-deprived brain, a single idiotic idea was forming. Maybe I can calm him down again, with another sandwich. Now, do I think sandwiches are the answer to all problems? Not all problems, but a surprising number of them. I bolted back to the maintenance closet, grabbed the emergency enrichment kit, basically peanut butter, 4 bananas, and a calming lavender-scented wet wipe, and shoved it all into a Tupperware labeled, "Do not feed the aardvarks." No time for details. Shelley ran after me. What are you even doing? I don't know, I shouted. But I'm 83% sure Kong is emotionally food-motivated. 83. That's a generous estimate. We reached Sector 7, or what used to be Sector 7. The enclosure was demolished. The walls were peeled open like a tuna can, steel bent like licorice, enrichment toys flattened into plastic pancakes. There was a single, deep footprint pressed into the mud where Kong had clearly landed, and about 30 flamingos now squatting there like they paid rent. Shelley gasped. He was here. I held up the sandwich. So was I. Suddenly, my walkie-talkie, the one I never remembered to charge, crackled to life. Marty, come in. Do you copy? This is Cheryl. The Kong cult is here. I pressed the button. Define here. They've chained themselves to the penguin tank. One of them has a bullhorn and is demanding the return of the banana prophet. I closed my eyes. Of course they are. Then another voice came through. A familiar voice. One I hadn't heard since this whole mess began. Marty, he's in the city. He's moving underground. And he's looking for you. It was Gary. My cousin. The one who once tried to sell homemade Kong plushies at my niece's birthday party and got tackled by a mime. Gary, where are you calling from? Can't say. I'm off the grid. But I hacked into some surveillance drones. He's headed toward the East Side sewage management facility. There's banana residue all over the manhole covers. I looked at Shelley. She blinked. Please tell me your cousin isn't a cryptid conspiracy nut, I sighed. No, he's worse. He's a freelance cryptid conspiracy nut with a YouTube channel. She groaned. We're so dead. So now the facts were these. Kong was back. He was underground. He was hungry. And I was apparently the only one he was looking for. All I had was a sandwich, some lavender wipes, and the vague memory of bonding with a giant monkey over lunch. And for some reason, I was going to go find him. Because I had just one thought rattling through my overcooked janitor brain. If I'm the banana prophet, I better start acting like one. You ever willingly climb into a manhole at 3 a.m. with nothing but a sandwich and a questionable sense of destiny? I don't recommend it, but there I was, crouched over a sewer grate on East 79th, flashlight between my teeth, sandwich Tupperware strapped to my chest like a carb-heavy baby carrier, and Shelley next to me holding a bucket of calming essential oils we stole from the Sloth Exhibit's spa enrichment program. We stared into the hole. Darkness stared back. I turned to Shelley. You don't have to come. I mean, this is probably illegal, or stupid, or both. The city might charge us for even looking at this manhole too hard. She looked down the tunnel, then back at me. I've worked here for 6 years. I once had to retrieve a ferret from a snake's mouth while a toddler threw gummy worms at my face. This is honestly less weird. I nodded. Fair. We climbed down, And let me just say, movies lie. Sewers aren't just puddles and occasional rats playing chess. No. It smelled like expired soup, disappointment, and something vaguely pickled. My shoes made a sound I will never emotionally recover from. We wandered for about 20 minutes. I kept seeing things I did not want to see. A boot, a Barbie, what I'm pretty sure was a raccoon mafia headquarters. All while the air got thicker, the tunnels got darker, and the sound of something big moving ahead got louder. Boom! Splat! Splash! Banana peel! I knelt down and examined it. Fresh. Definitely not city-issued. Shelley wrinkled her nose. Why is it warm? I don't know, I whispered. Maybe his rage emits heat now. We rounded the corner and froze. There he was. Kong. Or at least the shape of Kong. Looming. Hulking. Shoulders like boulders. Arms like cranes made of muscle and trauma. He was crouched under a massive vaulted section of the sewer, like it was a personal hobbit hole. His back was turned, but he was breathing. Slowly. Rhythmic. And he was wearing the vest. The vest. My vest. Still intact. Still rocking those Sharpie bananas. I gulped. Loudly, Shelley whispered. Okay, now what? I offered the sandwich. I said. She blinked. Like, just walk up and hand it to him. Yes. I said. Like that was a totally rational thing to do when approaching a skyscraper-sized gorilla who'd recently been evicted from Midtown. So I did. Slowly. Carefully, one step at a time, the sandwich in my hands like I was presenting Simba to the heavens. Kong shifted. He smelled it, and then I swear to you on all that is peanut butter and holy he turned, locked eyes with me, and sighed. Not roared, not growled, just sighed. Like, finally, took you long enough, sandwich man. I held out the Tupperware. Hey, big guy, missed lunch. He reached forward slow, massive fingers that could crush a car or solve a Rubik's Cube. Who knows? And took the sandwich like it was a Fabergé egg filled with emotional resolution. He unwrapped it, sniffed, ate it in one bite. And then he smiled. I nearly cried! Shelley nearly fainted. We stood there in stunned silence, just existing in the moment where Marty Plimpton, full-time janitor, part-time gorilla whisperer, had successfully offered a peace sandwich to a creature who once swatted a fighter jet out of the sky like it was a bug on his potato salad. Then he did something unexpected. He handed me something. It was a crumpled, very large, very moist note. I unfolded it. It read, "They lied to me." I looked at Shelley. She looked at me. "What does that mean?" she asked. "I don't know," I said, heart pounding. But I think King Kong just handed me a conspiracy. And then came the noise. Not from Kong, from behind us. A loud mechanical clank, followed by a whirring sound that made the hair on my elbows stand up. Lights flickered on harsh blue-white beams and a dozen shadowy figures appeared in the tunnel behind us. Military uniforms? Big ones. They were pointing tranquilizer cannons the size of vending machines right at Kong's face. "Step away from the ape," someone shouted. Shelley screamed. Kong growled. I did the bravest thing I could think of. I held up the Tupperware like it was a diplomatic passport and yelled, "He's with me!" The world paused. The soldiers paused. Even Kong paused. Then the guy in front lowered his cannon and muttered, "Is that the banana guy?" I sighed. Yes. I'm the banana guy. And I think we've got a very large problem, because Kong wasn't just hiding. He was running. And now, he wanted me to help him expose whatever they were hiding. Satuaham. I didn't go into that sewer thinking I'd get involved in a government cover-up, jungle justice, and a semi-telepathic relationship with a gorilla. But here we are. After I screamed he's with me, and revealed myself to the soldiers like some kind of sandwich-wielding diplomatic envoy, things got weird fast. First of all, they didn't tranquilize us, which I'll admit was a huge relief. Considering Kong was already twitchy, and I still had half a peanut butter smudge on my shirt that looked like a target. Instead, the lead guy, a colonel or commander or possibly just someone very confident in khaki, walked up and said, "Marty Plimpton, we've been expecting you." "Okay," I said. "See? I don't like that." He waved to his troops and muttered something into an earpiece. Shelley and I were quickly ushered to the side, while Kong just sat there, watching like a very large, very hairy court judge, waiting for us to plead our case. The commander gestured to Kong. "We need to bring him in. He's unstable." I pointed to the remains of the sandwich, still delicately balanced on his massive palm. "Does that look unstable?" He raised an eyebrow. "You fed him a sandwich. Correction." I said, "I offered him a sandwich. He accepted it. That's what we call a peaceful transaction in banana-based diplomacy," Shelley whispered. "Marty." "Shut up!" The commander sighed. "You're not helping." Then Kong stood up, and everyone lost their minds. Soldiers backed up, guns raised. One guy actually tripped over his own tactical boot and fell face first into the sewer water. But Kong didn't roar. He didn't attack. He just held up his massive finger and pointed at me. I blinked. "Me," he nodded, slowly. "And then I swear to you on all that is decent and mop-related," he extended his other hand, palm open, as if to say, "You, come with me." Shelley grabbed my arm. "Marty, I love you. But that is a very bad idea." "I know," I whispered. "But he gave me a note." "A note? That's basically an invitation to a plot twist, against all common sense, all advice from both military and non-military humans, and every instinct I had as a guy who once got a concussion from slipping on a grape." I climbed into Kong's hand, and just like that, we were on the move. He ducked through the tunnel like he knew the place, which was alarming, because, who gave him the blueprints? We wound through winding passageways, ducked under pipes, stomped through puddles, and past several very confused rats. He carried me like I was a fragile piece of mail. At some point, I realized I had no plan, no flashlight, no backup, no idea where he was going. I was sitting in the massive palm of an escaped super ape who had decided, unilaterally, that I was his guy. So, like any responsible adult in an existential crisis, I started talking. "You okay? Buddy? You seem tense. You've been working out. This sewer lighting is really highlighting your fur texture. I mean that. You look very athletic." He grunted softly. It was the kind of grunt that said I'm exhausted, betrayed by the people I trusted, and possibly lactose intolerant. You learn to interpret those when you've worked with primates as long as I have. 3 years. No degrees. 1 night class. Eventually, we came to a massive underground chamber that looked like a Bond villain's yoga studio. Giant screens, crates, broken down equipment, some kind of decommissioned research base built into the sewer like that was a normal thing to do. Kong sat down and gently placed me on a platform next to what looked like a dusty control panel. And then, he pointed again, at a nearby crate. I climbed down and pried it open. Inside, tapes, documents, a VHS labeled Project Titan Decommissioned. I turned back to him. "Wait. Are you trying to tell me?" He nodded, then mimed putting on a headset, then thumped his chest. I gasped. "You were trained?" He nodded again. It hit me like a truck full of bananas. Kong wasn't just some wild creature they dumped into a zoo. He'd been part of some secret program. Something big. Something they shut down, locked away, and tried to forget. And they used us, the zoo, the public, to hide it. I turned to Kong. "You want to expose them?" He gave a long, slow grunt. Then he reached into the shadows and pulled out a chalkboard with writing on it. I read it out loud. Step 1, get Marty. Step 2, retrieve evidence. Step 3, tell world. Step 4, eat sandwich. I wiped a tear from my eye. "Buddy, this is beautiful." At that moment, Shelley and the commander caught up to us. Shelley looked at the tapes, then at me. "You're not joking," she whispered. He really is trying to blow the whistle. I nodded. He's the Aaron Brockovich of apes. The commander was less impressed. This goes above your pay grade. Sir, I said, my pay grade is $14 an hour and unlimited flamingo trauma. Everything goes above my pay grade. Kong stood tall behind me, gripping the chalkboard like it was the 10 Commandments. And that's when the walls shook. Not from Kong, from something else. Another roar, lower, angrier, with static in it. Kong dropped the chalkboard. He looked up. So did we, Shelley whispered. What the hell is that? And I said, I think we're about to find out who else was in the program. So here's the thing about giant underground roars that sound like the mating call of a possessed microwave. You never want to hear them, ever, because whatever's making that sound, it doesn't want to cuddle. It doesn't want to discuss feelings. And it definitely doesn't want your leftover peanut butter and banana sandwich. That's what we were dealing with now. The walls of the secret sewer facility were shaking like they owed someone rent. Pipes rattled. Lights flickered. One of the crates labeled Top Secret. Burn if found, just burst into flames on its own, which honestly felt dramatic. Kong froze. His pupils went full marble-sized panic mode. And Marty Banana Guy Plimpton, freshly anointed gorilla diplomat, screamed into the void. Is that a friend of yours? I shouted up at Kong. He slowly turned to me and shook his head. Then he made a gesture. 2 fists, slammed together, then pointed downward. Shelley whispered, That's gorilla for I hate that guy. I was afraid of that, I muttered. The commander stepped forward, still trying to pretend he had control over anything, and barked into his walkie, Code level Kong, negative alpha, activate the fallback deterrent protocol. What does that mean? I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, a steel bulkhead slammed shut behind us. The facility's lockdown system engaged. We were now officially trapped in a secret Cold War-era sewer base with a nervous King Kong, a box of conspiracy evidence, and the auditory warning signs of something worse. Then, from the shadows, it emerged, taller than Kong, bulkier, furless, muscles like steel cables dipped in rage, glowing red implants embedded across its body like somebody modded a gorilla in a video game, and then said, Now let's make it haunted. Its face metal, its eyes laser-focused, its name. I turned to the crate Kong had shoved me behind, scribbled on the lid in faded Sharpie Project K2 Mecha Pelin. Oh, come on. You guys built a cyber gorilla, I yelled at the commander. He looked guilty. It was the early 2000s. We got a DARPA grant and a little overconfident. Mecha-Gorillas let out a mechanical growl that sounded like a modem screaming through a subwoofer. Kong responded by roaring back and slamming both fists into the ground, causing a seismic fart of dust to explode from every corner of the facility. The commander was shouting evacuation orders. Shelley was dragging me toward a staircase labeled, Maintenance probably not safe. Kong was already charging forward like he was done being the nice ape. And me, I was still holding the sandwich bag. Why, because I panic-hold things. Kong collided with Mecha-Gorillas mid-tunnel, and I swear on all things peanut-related. The impact knocked my soul 5 inches to the left. Concrete cracked, sparks flew. One of the rats watching from the pipes passed out. The apes were fighting, but it wasn't just fists. No Mecha-Gorillas had gadgets, a rocket elbow, a taser tail, shoulder-mounted dart launchers filled with what I hope was just NyQuil. Kong, to his credit, fought like a veteran. Ducking, weaving, using the tunnel walls for leverage. At one point, he suplexed Mecha-Gorillas into a water main and then threw a filing cabinet at it like a dodgeball. It was awesome. It was terrifying. It was also clearly not going to end well. Kong can't take this thing alone, I yelled. Shelley was typing furiously into a console. I'm trying to find its off switch. Or, like, even a snooze button. I did what I do best. I improvised. I climbed a busted ladder, swung onto a dangling catwalk, which I immediately regretted I am not parkour capable, and started waving the sandwich bag. Hey, you metal moron, look at me! Mecha-Gorillas turned, laser eyes locked. Chest panel opened, revealing a mini missile chamber that looked uncomfortably prepared to barbecue me. Kong saw it. Kong snapped. He lunged. Not at Mecha-Gorillas' face, at its chest. He ripped the panel open before it could fire, exposing wires, circuits, and what I'm pretty sure was a backup Zune. He roared into the opening like a banshee with opinions about AI ethics. Then, without hesitation, he reached for the sandwich bag and stuffed it inside the circuitry. There was a zap, a sizzle, the unmistakable splat of peanut butter fusing with military-grade electronics. And then, total shutdown. Mecha-Gorillas collapsed, flatlined, fried. Its eyes flickered once, as if to say, "Did I just get beaten by a sandwich?" Then silence. Kong stood tall, chest heaving. He turned to me, lifted one massive finger, and gave me a thumbs up. That's right, Kong gave me a thumbs up. Commander Khaki Pants fainted. I climbed down and ran to Shelley, who was just sitting on the ground, eyes wide. "Did we just defeat a government war beast with a snack?" she whispered. "I mean, technically," I said. "It was the sandwich that saved the world." She blinked. "We need therapy." "Yep." As the facility lights flickered back to normal, Kong walked over to us. He knelt. He held out a fist. I bumped it. We shared a moment. A real, emotional, peanut butter-infused moment. But it wasn't over, because from the wall-mounted console, a voice crackled through the intercom. "Marty Plimpton, this is Director Langley. You were not supposed to find that facility. Return the documents, bring the ape, or face the consequences." I looked at Shelley. She looked at me. Kong looked very done with this crap. I tightened my grip on the sandwich bag and said, "Tell Director Langley to bring snacks. It's going to be a long week." So, turns out when you destroy a top-secret robotic gorilla weapon with a peanut butter sandwich, the government notices, not mildly, not let's send a sternly worded letter notices. No. I mean 3 black vans, 2 helicopters, and a very sweaty guy in a trench coat kind of notices. We barely made it out of the underground facility before the place started hissing like a soda can in a microwave. Kong had to punch his way through a wall again, and I had to carry the Project Titan evidence box while dodging water, sparks, and one raccoon who tried to mug me for a granola bar. Shelley, bless her, somehow hot-wired a maintenance golf cart, and we zoomed out of a drainage tunnel like 3 confused action heroes in a B-list Netflix movie. And for a brief, glorious moment, I thought maybe we were in the clear. Then came the tranquilizer dart. Pow, right in my left butt cheek. I turned to Shelley. "Why does this always happen to me?" Then I passed out. I woke up in a dimly lit room with concrete walls, humming fluorescent lights, and the distinct smell of government-issued coffee, you know. The kind brewed out of spite and sadness. There were 2 people in the room, a woman in a dark suit with perfectly emotionless eyebrows, and a man in aviators indoors, which is just rude. "Mr. Plimpton," she said, "you've become quite a problem." I hear that a lot. I replied, groggy, but still clinging to sarcasm like a lifer raft. Usually when I try to fix the zoo printer. "Do you know what you've done?" the man asked. "Well," I said, "if you're referring to deactivating your illegal cyber ape with a snack and unearthing your hidden kaiju program, then yes. If you're talking about the sandwich, I stand by that too." The woman dropped a file on the table. It said, "Project Gorillagram in Comic Sans. Comic Sans. You weren't supposed to find that base," she hissed. "Yeah, well, you weren't supposed to lock a living national treasure in a zoo with a mop-wielding janitor and call it containment. But here we are, a tense silence. Then a voice cut through the room from a speaker in the ceiling. "Let him go. The agents froze. We've reviewed the footage. The monkey likes him. The monkey only likes him. If we tranquilize him again, we're all dead." I grinned. "Told you. Banana diplomacy." They scowled. I was escorted to a holding room with better chairs and vending machines. Shelley was already there, munching on a Snickers and looking like she'd just witnessed a dozen crimes and had opinions about all of them. "Hey," I said. "Did they dart your butt too?" She nodded. "Right one." We sat in silence for a moment. Then a giant shadow moved past the window. Kong! He'd found us. And he was wearing sunglasses. They were way too small. They perched on the bridge of his massive nose like two bottle caps held up by confidence and defiance. "Where did he even get those?" I whispered. Shelley shrugged. "He stole them from a gas station." We didn't stop him. Kong knuckled up to the holding room wall, then gently knocked on the glass with one finger like a neighbor asking to borrow some sugar or destroy a government program. "Do you think," Shelley whispered, "he's going to break us out?" Before I could answer, the power went out. Again. Then the roof opened. Like it was designed to... Like this was just a giant Kong drive-through. Chains clattered. Sirens wailed. I heard someone yell, "Who authorized roof reveal mode?" But I knew this was no accident. Kong had a plan. He scooped us both up gently, like two burritos of justice, and leapt into the night sky. The wind howled. A helicopter tried to follow him. He smacked it aside like a mosquito made of taxpayer dollars. We landed in an abandoned construction site. Kong set us down, then sat cross-legged, like he was ready for story time. And then he opened his hand. Inside, a USB stick wrapped in banana leaf. I took it, plugged it into Shelley's laptop. Files popped up. Video footage, emails, documents with bold red stamps that said things like, "Absolutely do not show this to the public," and Project Grapeep Experimental Fury Serum Trials. "Holy crap," Shelley said. This is everything." I turned to Kong. "You want us to leak it?" He nodded, slowly, and then I kid you not, he pulled a tarp off a nearby portable Wi-Fi hotspot, already plugged in. The man came prepared. I looked at Shelley. "You ready to blow the lid off a decades-long gorilla conspiracy that involves cybernetic apes, unethical experimentation, and a cover-up that spans 5 presidential administrations?" She opened her laptop. "Already uploading." And just like that, we went full whistleblower. Kong grunted his approval. Then he handed me a sandwich. Perfectly made, peanut butter, banana, diagonally cut. I stared at it. Did you make this?" Kong shrugged. He's humble. "The files were out. The world was about to know the truth." And me. I was going home. To tacos. Because Cheryl texted and said I was still scheduled to clean the parrot cage tomorrow. Okay, so imagine this. You're crouched inside a portable toilet at an abandoned construction site. You're sweating through your shirt. Your phone is hot from overuse. Your best friend is a gorilla. Your Wi-Fi is powered by stolen federal tech. And you've just leaked the biggest military cover-up in modern history, all while sitting next to a bucket labeled wet cement. Do not lick. That was my Tuesday. After Shelley uploaded the files from the Kong Drive TM USB, yes, that's what I named it. We're branding this. The internet exploded. I'm talking full-scale info bomb within minutes. Catcher BananaLeaks was trending worldwide. A Reddit AMA titled "I was a janitor for a secret ape weapon program. Ask Me Anything" got 78,000 upvotes in 14 minutes. WikiLeaks DM'd me and asked if I wanted an internship. News anchors were freaking out. Some quotes. "Is this real? Did the monkey seriously leave a note? Who is this Marty Plimpton? And why does he look like he hasn't slept since 1997? That last one hurt a little, but was fair. And then the world changed. Not dramatically, not peace on earth, goodwill toward bananas. No, more like a chaotic ripple of lawsuits, congressional hearings, and one weird flash mob outside the Capitol dressed in gorilla onesies. The headlines were delicious. Pentagon confirms mecha-gorilla project was poorly budgeted and deeply regrettable. Zoo janitor accused of weaponized sandwich diplomacy. King Kong is real, chill, and apparently vegan. And then came the Netflix offers. I got 6 in one day. One of them was titled Banana State: The Marty Plimpton Story, starring Paul Rudd. Paul? Freaking Rudd. As me. Which I'll admit is wildly flattering. Shelley got her own show. 2 Zoo secrets my life among the flamingos and government lies. She's now considered a folk hero among bird rights activists and mildly concerned librarians. Kong ha vanished. Not in a scary, oh no, he's going to flatten a city way. More like he left a polite note written in mud on a water tower that said, I'll be around, kind of way. I like to think he's chilling in the Rockies, drinking kombucha, watching old black and white movies, and finally living a stress-free, missile-free life. But back to me. After the leak, I was called to testify in front of Congress, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say as a person who once got rejected from jury duty because I looked too sweaty to be taken seriously. Picture this. I walk into a massive wood-paneled room. Flashbulbs, reporters, politicians. I'm wearing a wrinkled suit, mismatched socks, and a tie I borrowed from a CPR mannequin. Senator Gromley, big guy, thick mustache, deep voice like a bear who passed law school, looks me in the eye and says, Mr. Plimpton, is it true you communicated with this Kong primarily through peanut butter sandwiches? I leaned into the mic, cleared my throat, and said, yes, sir. And if I may add, they were very good sandwiches. Boom. Standing ovation. Okay. Not really. But I got a smirk from Gromley, and that's probably the highest compliment I'll ever receive from a man who once yelled at a fax machine during a C-SPAN broadcast. After the hearings, things went sideways, in a good way, I think. I got offered book deals, speaking gigs, a TED Talk titled How to Negotiate with Primates and Other Bureaucracies. And one very enthusiastic man offered me a banana-based cryptocurrency startup. I declined, for obvious reasons. But the weirdest moment, I got called into the zoo, back where it all began. Cheryl met me at the flamingo pond. She had a clipboard and the look of someone who had aged 10 years from managing viral zoo fame. She said, "We want to offer you a promotion." I blinked. To what head mop strategist? She handed me a badge. It said Marty Plimpton, Director of Primate Relations and Unclassified Enrichment Strategy, A.K.A. Banana Guy Plus Plus. I stared at it. Is this real? She nodded. Also comes with dental now. Finally, I muttered. And then, out of nowhere, a helicopter, a banana parachute, and a single crate dropped onto the zoo lawn with a handwritten tag that read, "For Marty. Thanks for everything." Inside, another sandwich, and a framed selfie of Kong giving a peace sign in front of a waterfall. Shelley and I stood there for a long time, just looking at it. She turned to me and said, "So, what now?" And I said, "Now I guess we wait until he needs us again." She smiled. "You think he will?" I nodded. "Oh yeah, trouble always finds Kong, but at least this time, he's got a guy." I thought things would quiet down after the leak. You know, I'd go back to mopping floors. Kong would vibe in the wilderness, and the world would collectively agree to not build any more cybernetic jungle abominations with rocket elbows. Wrong, because 3 weeks after the Kongspiracy went public, I got a very official-looking envelope delivered by a man in a tuxedo who rode in on a Segway. Inside was a letter real paper, fancy seal, some sort of watermark involving a pigeon and a sword, and it said, "The United Nations requests the presence of Mr. Martin Plimpton to address matters of global primate diplomacy and large-scale ape integration policy." Now, I did not know the UN had an ape integration policy. I also did not know I was on a first-name basis with world leaders. But apparently, when you go viral for feeding a 40-foot gorilla a sandwich and single-handedly leaking proof of an illegal kaiju weapons program, you get put on the "Please Don't Destroy Us" diplomacy list. So off I went, I bought a suit. Shelley came with me. Kong's still off-grid, but I brought a sandwich in case he showed up mid-speech. Peanut butter, banana, little note inside that said, "Miss you, plus don't smash Geneva." We arrived at the UN headquarters. Very formal, very glass. Lot of people wearing earpieces and blinking like they haven't slept since the Cold War. And then they introduced me? Not like, "Here's Marty the janitor." No, like, "Ladies and gentlemen of the assembly, we now welcome the emissary of Kong the Banana Envoy, the man known to the internet as the Gorilla Whisperer, Marty Plimpton." I tripped on the stairs, recovered, saluted nobody in particular, then stepped up to the microphone, cleared my throat, and said, "Hi, I'm Marty. I once gave a sandwich to a gorilla, and now I have clearance levels I don't understand." There was total silence, until the delegate from Norway clapped. Slowly, then all of them did. Even the guy from Russia smiled, which I'm told is rare. So I gave my speech about Kong, about sandwiches, about peace, about how maybe, just maybe, the world didn't need more weapons. Maybe it needed more snacks, fewer secrets, and a global ban on rocket elbows. People were into it, except for one nation, Belgium. They raised a hand and said, and I quote, "What is your position on the banana trade embargo and the recent tariffs imposed by the Unified Ape Recognition Treaty?" I blinked. "The banana what now?" Turns out, since the leak, several nations had entered heated debates about how to handle the ethical, nutritional, and geopolitical implications of large-scale primate presence. Translation, they were fighting about bananas. Supply chains were melting. Banana prices had spiked 40%. Ecuador blamed Brazil. The Philippines was forming a fruit defense coalition. France just stared moodily into a croissant. And all of them wanted my opinion, because I was now officially the world's foremost ape negotiator. So I said the first thing that came to my mind. I think Kong would want fair trade, organic, maybe gluten-free. But I haven't confirmed. Then I added, and while I appreciate being asked, maybe we should focus less on fighting over fruit and more on not building hyper-aggressive guerrilla warbots again. Just a thought. That got a standing ovation, except from Belgium. Afterward, as I was eating a very suspicious diplomat buffet sandwich which had no banana. By the way, Rude, I got a message from a burner phone. It beeped once, lit up. "Meet me on the roof." So, I turned to Shelley. "He's here," she sighed. "Of course he is." We slipped out, took the elevator up, and there he was. Kong somehow perched on the UN roof like a confused but confident gargoyle. He waved. I waved back. He handed me a backpack the size of a smart car. Inside, 3 more USB drives, labeled Project Titan Phase 2, Mech Appel on V2.0 Budget Proposal, and, worryingly, Guerrilla-formed propaganda initiatives, do not leak. He grunted. I translated, "You want me to leak these?" 2, he nodded. Once, then handed me a banana, perfectly ripe, gold sticker, and on the peel, written in marker, "Be ready, they're building more." My hands trembled. Shelley stared. More what? I looked at the drives, at the banana, at Kong. Then I turned to the Geneva skyline and said, "I think the sequel just started. Okay, let's recap. I'm Marty Plimpton, former janitor. I accidentally befriended King Kong using sandwiches. I leaked top-secret government files from a porta potty. I gave a speech at the United Nations that resulted in a global banana pricing war. And now I'm holding 3 USB drives labeled "Do Not Leak" that practically beg to be leaked. Also, Kong may or may not have inducted me into a gorilla-themed whistleblower resistance movement using only a backpack and a single, emotionally loaded banana. So yeah, things are going great. After Kong dropped the drives on me, he just knuckled off into the mist like an overworked cryptid with boundary issues. Didn't say goodbye, didn't take the stairs, just launched himself off the UN roof like gravity was optional. And me, I stood there, clutching government secrets and a potassium-rich warning fruit, trying to figure out how to sneak 3 USBs through international customs without ending up on an FBI reality show. Shelley, ever the realist, whispered, "You realize you've just been recruited into a primate uprising." "Right," I nodded. "Feels correct." So we flew home. Not on a private jet, on Spirit Airlines, because despite everything, the zoo still refuses to upgrade my travel budget. I spent 4 hours sandwiched between a man who ate shrimp crackers at 8 a.m. and a child who kept whispering "banana boy" at me like a curse. Back at the zoo, things had gotten weird. There was now a Kong memorial bench next to the cotton candy stand. A plaque on it read, "Sit here and reflect on gorilla-based global trauma." Also, someone had started selling unofficial Banana Guy fan club t-shirts in the gift shop. I didn't approve them. They had my face photoshopped onto a banana wearing aviators. I looked good. Still suit. Anyway, I knew what I had to do. Open the drives. So I did. In my apartment, at 200 a.m., with one hand on the mouse and the other clenching a stress banana, here's what I found. Drive 1 Project Titan Phase 2. Plans for multiple non-Kong megafauna weaponization attempts. Project Koalaclism. Tiny, angry koalas with steel-plated armor. Operation Orangatron, no notes. Just a photo of an orangutan in a flight suit giving thumbs up. A blueprint for a gorilla-sized jetpack labeled "In Case of Mood Swing." Drive 2 Mech Appealin V2.0 budget proposal. 97-page PowerPoint that opens with the phrase, "Sure, the last one got peanut buttered to death. But we've learned." Several slides just say "more lasers in Comic Sans." Final slide. "Let's make him fly?" "Oh, great, because what we need right now is a flying metal gorilla." Drive 3. Gorilla-formed propaganda initiatives. Do not leak. Mock-up of a Saturday morning cartoon called Kong's Kids Club, sponsored by a suspicious defense contractor. Early drafts of a theme park called Banana Land, where fun goes ape. A memo. Messaging goal. Make Kong seem unpredictable. Dangerous. Justify continued development of Mech Appealon program. A handwritten sticky note on the last file that said, "Marty, you know what to do." Mom. Which was horrifying. Also, incredibly flattering. King Kong trusts me. Me, a janitor who once set off a zoo-wide lockdown because I microwaved a hot pocket too close to the Komodo dragon enclosure. So I did what I had to do. I leaked them. But not all at once. No, I created an anonymous newsletter titled Person. Banana files the truth peels out. And every Friday at noon, I dropped a new bombshell. People couldn't get enough. Reddit melted down. Twitter, sorry. X trended Orangatron for president for 3 days straight. The Washington Post ran a headline that simply said, "Are we the baddies? The backlash swift?" The government definitely figured it was me. They started tailing me. Subtle at first guys in suits pretending to eat churros. Weird pigeons with Bluetooth antennas. One agent even posed as a plumber to install smart pipes in my apartment. I caught him trying to download my Roomba. And then one night, someone left a banana on my windowsill. Not fresh, frozen. I turned to Shelley, who now stayed over every night because this is bigger than friendship. This is survival. And said, "They've escalated." But here's the kicker, I wasn't alone. Because 2 days later, I got a knock on my door. I opened it to find a person in a gorilla mask and a Banana Guy fan club hoodie. They handed me a business card. Black, matte, embossed with gold lettering. Primnet. The Primate Resistance Intelligence Movement Network. We exist, we have Wi-Fi, we have snacks, and on the back, there are others. You're not the only human working for him. My heart skipped, I whispered. He's building a team. The masked figure nodded. Then handed me a drive labeled, "Top Secret Gorilla Directive 7, Final Phase Initiation." Inside it I saw something that made my legs go wobbly. A satellite map. A secret island. And one phrase highlighted in red. Mech-Appeal 3 launch date confirmed. There are things in life you never expect to say. Like, I think this gorilla's starting a paramilitary resistance. Or, yes, Senator, that was my sandwich that short-circuited your warbot. But I never thought I'd have to say, we need to infiltrate a secret island before the cyber gorilla goes live again. Yet here I was, standing on a dock in Florida, wearing sandals, cargo shorts, and a banana-printed fanny pack stuffed with USB drives, granola bars, and what I thought was mace but turned out to be expired hair gel. Shelley stood next to me in all-black tactical gear, chewing gum like she'd just re-enlisted in a war she didn't believe in. We doing this, or what she asked? Behind us was the Primnet crew, the Primate Resistance Intelligence Movement Network. You know how some resistance groups have elite fighters, hackers, spies? Yeah, we had a retired zookeeper named Deb who once bottle-fed a tiger, a Twitch streamer with a monkey avatar named a chimpanzoom, Gary. Yes, my cousin Gary. The same Gary who once built a life-sized Kong replica out of papier-mâché and spray cheese. He wore a trench coat and night vision goggles he definitely got from an estate sale. Operation Monkey Wrench is a go, he whispered. No one asked him to call it that. Our boat was a dinghy named the Salty Gibbon. It smelled like regret and canned tuna. We set sail at 0200 hours, which is military speak for too early to be sober. The island didn't appear on any maps. Of course it didn't. No evil operation worth its salt puts its headquarters on Google Earth. But Kong's USB drive had coordinates and a hand-drawn note that said, "Go here, stop robot, bring sandwich." Say what you will. The dude's consistent. We arrived just before sunrise. Mist hung in the trees. The jungle buzzed with the sound of insects, drones, and something large breathing nearby. As we disembarked, I turned to Shelley. Do you ever get the feeling we're just one bad decision away from being action figures in a dollar store bin? All the time, she said. Loading a tranquilizer dart into what I think was a paintball gun, we hiked uphill, following a hidden dirt trail labeled in red spray paint. Authorized personnel only, no bananas. Wow, I said. They really don't like us. At the top of the hill, we saw it, a giant compound, steel walls, guard towers, and in the center, a massive hangar. Doors open. Inside stood Mech-Appeal 3.0. Bigger, shinier, painted matte black like a Bond villain's espresso machine. It had missiles on its shoulders, flamethrowers on its wrists, and something labeled Banana Neutralization System. What? Does that even mean? I whispered. Probably shoots potassium gas, Gary said, too confidently. Inside the hangar were dozens of technicians, and one very smirky guy in a lab coat giving a TED Talk next to a PowerPoint slide titled, "Gorilla Force, Why This Time It Won't Get Sandwiched." Shelley squinted. Is that Dr. Blaine from the Kong trials? Oh no, I muttered. He's the one who invented Kong's stress helmet. We hated that guy. Plan A was simple. Sneak in, upload the final leak from Kong's Directive 7. Disable the robot. Escape. Maybe grab a souvenir hat if the gift shop's open. What actually happened was, we snuck in. Gary sneezed inside an air vent. Security swarmed. I panicked, ran toward a server room, and tripped over a tactical mop bucket. We barricaded ourselves inside a control center. New plan, I yelled. Booting up a terminal. Shelley slid USBs from her 3 into the port. Kong's files loaded. A massive video started playing on every screen in the facility. Footage of Project Titan, torture tests, engineering logs, failed weaponized orangutan prototypes, RAP Orangatron. Doctor! Blaine screamed. Shut it down! Too late. One screen showed the original Kong chained, drugged, sketching a banana and a peace sign on a wall. The lab staff froze. Even the robot paused. I swear to you, the robot hesitated. Then, boom, the wall exploded. It was Kong, live, in person, in full angry dad energy mode. He roared so loud it knocked Blaine off the catwalk. Then Kong punched mecha-gorillas 3.0 through a loading dock like he was swatting a very fancy vending machine. "Yes!" Shelley screamed. "He's back!" Baby Gary cried. I just sat there, still holding the fanny pack, whispering. I love this gorilla so much. They fought. Steel versus fur. Lasers versus raw. Sandwich-fueled rage. Mecha-gorillas tried flamethrowers. Kong blocked them with a shipping container full of backup bananas. It tried tasers. Kong grounded himself using a forklift. It tried psychological warfare, actual loudspeakers playing sound bites like, "You were never loved." Kong responded by grabbing the speaker tower and drop-kicking it into the ocean. We uploaded the rest of the leak mid-fight. Final document. Gorilla Directive 7. No species should be built to be a weapon. Then Kong, bleeding, roaring, exhausted, climbed up the robot, ripped open the cockpit, and inside was a man. Not Dr. Blaine, someone else, wearing a banana pin? He looked at me and smiled. "You could have joined us, Marty." And I said the only thing I could... "You built a killbot and I brought a lunch. Only one of us got results." Kong grabbed the pilot, tossed him into the mud, then turned, gave me the look. The "it's time to end this" look. He lifted one giant fist. Okay. So there we were. Me, Shelley, Gary, a defeated warbot, an emotionally wounded Kong, and some random tech bro villain with a banana pin who just got yeeted into a pile of military-grade compost. Kong stood tall, the sunrise hitting him like a shampoo commercial. His fur was matted with smoke and glory. One eye was swollen. His vest was torn. And in his fist, a banana. Where did he get it? Unknown. Possibly pocket dimension. Possibly Gary. Don't ask questions you don't want gorilla-sized answers to. Kong looked at me, held up the banana, then bit it slowly, like it was the final mic drop in a global message about resistance, resilience, and potassium. Then he turned to mecha-gorillas 3.0, now twitching in a crater. One sparking LED on its chest read, "Rebooting, installing vengeance patch," I shouted. "Kong, do the thing." He did. He raised one massive foot and stomped straight through the core. F-Z-Z-R-T-pop boom. The robot's head launched into the sky like a very expensive piñata, then exploded into a surprisingly tasteful firework that spelled out, "Nope." It was over. And by over, I mean the facility was destroyed. The Primnet crew cheered and immediately started making TikToks. Gary got a mild concussion from headbutting a celebratory coconut. I collapsed into a folding chair next to Shelley and whispered, "Did we just end a shadow war funded by banana-based military corruption?" She nodded. "Also, I think I accidentally rearmed a tranquilizer gun with chewing gum. So, balance." Kong didn't say goodbye. He gave me one last look, soft, proud. Just a hint of, "Please remember to rotate your compost," and then walked into the jungle. Sun behind him, jungle birds flying past. Someone somewhere playing Freebird on a Bluetooth speaker. He was free, really free. And the world knew now. The aftermath. Well, it was complicated. Turns out leaking multiple layers of top-secret military programs, disrupting UN proceedings, and banana-related property destruction comes with consequences. I got summoned back to the zoo. Cheryl sat me down in her office. Behind her was a framed photo of Kong, hugging a churro stand. She said, "Marty, we're grateful. Really, you probably prevented the collapse of society." I smiled. She continued, "But also, you're fired." I blinked. Fired. You hijacked zoo Wi-Fi to upload classified documents, used zoo resources for guerrilla journalism, and stole 8 enrichment sandwiches without filling out a requisition form. Okay, and you may have accidentally rebranded the penguin exhibit as Free the Beasts Arctic Division. Fair. She stood, gave me a hug. You're a hero, Marty, but also a massive liability. And so I left the zoo. Unemployed, unshowered, still clutching the fanny pack, but not for long. Because 2 months later, a mysterious crate arrived on my doorstep. Inside, one brand new food truck, painted silver with banana decals. A handwritten note that said, "You're not a janitor anymore. You're the face of something bigger. Try smoothies. You'd be good at it." Kong. And so I did. I opened a food truck, Kong and Marty's banana stand. We serve banana smoothies, peanut butter toast, sandwiches that may or may not be tools of international de-escalation. And once a week, a special called the Mech Melt, which is just grilled cheese with attitude. We park near parks, sometimes near schools. Once, accidentally near an Area 51 reunion party. People love it. Kids high-five me. The banana guy, the gorilla whisperer, Marty Plimpton. Every so often, Kong visits, never says a word, just shows up, orders a smoothie, tips with a mango the size of a basketball, and vanishes. Last week, he left another note. "You did good. Phase 2 begins soon. Don't forget the almonds." Whatever that means, but I'll be ready, because the world may forget what happened. But I've got the footage, I've got the USBs, I've got the fanny pack, and above all, I've got the sandwich.